The time is now. The UK Office for National Statistics confirms that in week 33 of 2024, 11,301 deaths were registered in the UK. That means in a single week, there were people whose lives got cut short. People who went to sleep and never woke up. People who went after living a long, fulfilling life, and even people who were prepared for that moment and left behind a legacy to long outlive their time on this earth. Whilst we might think, oh, it's fine, I've got plenty of time, or it's okay, I can do that tomorrow, we just never know what the next moment will hold. But that doesn't always have to be as negative as thinking about when we're going to die. I strongly believe that the universe returns to what we put into it. If we live vibrant lives, we receive vibrant energy. On one fine day in May 2024, I was basking in the sunshine in wonderful Wales, drinking Prosecco, whilst my sister was hundreds of miles away in England and approaching her pregnancy due date. On that same fine day, I got the call from my brother-in-law. And at that point, I thought it was just a casual catch-up. But he says to me, "Blessing, your sister has just given birth to the baby." In shock, and admittedly full of Prosecco-fueled emotion, I replied, "What? But we're far off the due date." And he says, "I know, but the baby is here now." Two things happened that day. The first thing is I was filled with anguish and sadness, and I cried my heart out because I had this perfect mental plan of how I was going to be there for my sister through every step of her labor. And I felt like I'd let her down. And admittedly, on a selfish point, I had wanted to be there to witness the baby's first moments on this earth. I remember I kept replaying this imaginary scenario over and over in my head, trying to figure out what I had missed out on. But the second and most beautiful thing that happened through the baby arriving early is that the experience gave me a whole new appreciation for what it means to have a pure and unconditional human bond with someone. I remember the first time I held this new little life in my arms. And before I could even think about it, I found myself whispering the words, "I wish you everything you want from life and more," to the baby. Ever since then, when the baby and I share a gaze, I'm filled with so much love and joy, and our bond gets stronger and stronger. So much is said without exchanging a single word. So that was the most recent time the universe reminded me to simply embrace what it puts in front of me, rather than being fixated on my hypothetical plans of what should or could have happened. As humans, we tend to worry about the uncertainty of the future. So we forget to embrace the certainty of the moment and how we can use that to get as close as possible to our ultimate end goal. Instead of worrying about achieving everything right now, let's focus on learning from the journey that will get us there. There's a Harvard Business Review article by Damien Walsh, which is titled, "Stop Striving to Be Your Future Self." In it, Damien says, our goals, roles, and aspirations are not simply good or valuable on their own. It is we ourselves who ascribe value to them and not the other way around. When I think of a practical example, I think of a child's toy. A child might have their favorite toy even though it might get dirty, smelly, or worn out. It might mean the absolute world to them because it comforts and soothes them. But to the child's parents, they might see it as just another item that can be easily substituted. So, the same item has two different amounts of value depending on whose perspective we take. I strongly believe that if we move through every moment of uncertainty, we'll achieve the ultimate happiness and contentment. Everything I've talked about, though, is not easy to accomplish. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here having a TEDx talk on it. To achieve it, we need gratitude. Be grateful that you haven't yet been counted in the number of deaths this week. Be grateful that you've had the chance to work on yourself so much that you're now becoming a better version that's ready to receive good fortune. Being the best version of ourselves will take learning, growing, failing, getting back up again, and keeping an open mind. I believe for gratitude to be effective, we need courage. At the age of 28, I went scuba diving for the first time in my life, much to my mother's horror. I remember being so panicked because my brain was sending signals to my lungs not to breathe because it could see I was underwater. But that panicked me even more because the diving instructors emphasized how important it was to not hold your breath, otherwise it would build up too much pressure in my lungs. And I had this weird flotation life jacket on, which had weights and a chain attached to it, and it made me feel like my movement was restricted. After a lot of screaming, shouting, crying, and generally making a scene, I mustered up the courage to fully immerse myself beneath the surface. When I did that, it was as if someone had flipped a switch, and I experienced the most beautiful calm and clarity under the surface of the water. So, what does that mean for you, wonderful audience, as you sit here and listen to my words today? It takes courage to go against the grain of society. It takes courage to go against what people tell you you should do. And it takes courage to face new adventures head on, which might challenge every single thing you know. But I'm confident that when you take that first courageous step, you too will experience the most beautiful calm and clarity. Now is the time for you to move the trajectory in the direction you want it to go. The universe pays attention to all of our thoughts and our actions and uses that to decide what it puts in front of us. Use right now as a stepping stone to one day. As Warren Buffett once said, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Every little thought and action we take on a daily basis adds up to that ultimate end goal. You might not feel the effect for days, months, or years, but when you do, you'll know that it's something that you worked towards. I want to clarify, though, that when we talk about our end goal, I don't mean possessions, money, or places. To truly define what you're working towards, ask yourself this: who do you want around you? How do you want them to make you feel? What do you want to be able to spend your time on without worrying? Those are the things that are going to truly define the direction that you're going in. And whilst they might be dictated by worldly achievements like cars, money, or possessions, it's truly what you put into the universe and how you build that environment that's going to get you to that ultimate end goal. So, if you remember nothing else from anything I've said on the stage today, remember this: it's not over until it's over. Just when you feel like giving up, or just when you feel like nothing is going your way, go for it anyway. you might just surprise yourself. To quote Jack Canfield, everything you want is on the other side of fear. If we fearlessly go for our dreams, if we practice courage and gratitude, and if we fully immerse ourselves in every new adventure, we will get there. The time is now, so make it yours.